Welcome to Aqua Dragon Light for a look at the new moon in Virgo. I'm interested in the wish potential opportunity as we enter the Virgo-Pisces axis of lunations, while we are still looking back and releasing forward. This is a time for clear thinking added to intuition. New moons bring the wisdom to plant seeds of change and also to make immediate change, especially this one. This is a very powerful new moon. Let's invite Spirit to join us. Prayers for the dark moon. This is a night when the moon is away with her lover the sun, and we will not see her, though we wait until dawn. But when dawn comes, she will be there, and if we do not see her with our eyes, to our hearts she should be visible. Dark Lady, open our hearts, keep them aware of you. Darkness is for silence, this I know, dark moon. Just a few words of remembrance then, and I will keep the silence with you. With no moon's light to break the black night, we will wait with patience for change to come. Pure moon goddess, change in me what changes in you. Bring me through dark times, bring me rebirth. From a time that is dark, bring back light to my world. From a book of Pagan Prayer. All Mother, Grandfather, Spirit, all bright beings, all ancestors, and others of blessed intent be with us now. Thank you. We are here. I'm going to use the Housewives Tarot today. I set it for you to see. It's a really interesting little deck by Paul Kepple and Judy Buffum, or Jude Buffum, I'm not sure. It's very stylized, but it's stylized in a way of housekeeping from the 50s. And so everything is food or utility-oriented from that era. And that's a lot of fun. And I did that because the new moon is in Virgo. Virgo is about service and about routines. And I thought this would be a good choice. I would like to mention that I always seal my decks. So this card, although I have it turned over, is generally kept this way. So I always have the Sun and the Ten of Pentacles, or the Sun in the World, or an Ace, sometimes the Ten of Cups, sometimes my card, which is the Star card. But I find that shuffling and sealing a deck when I am not using it is a good way to keep the deck energies clean, not allow anything to get to it. I keep them contained, and this actually comes in a really nice little recipe box with different sections, and it's very well done deck. If you're into decks that are kind of different and kitschy, this is a good one. We're just going to pull a few cards to see what the energies are right now. Perspective, 12. 10 of Cups. 3 of Swords. Bottom of the deck is the 5 of Wands. I could have laid these in any order. I could have put them this way. I could have stacked them. So in a traditional reading, there are always, so in the Celtic reading that has the cross and then it has the stack up the side, there are always readings going on of 3 cards. 3 card readings are the basis of almost everything. But Hanged Man we looked at first. Perspective is what we are actually looking for in the new moon. 10 of Cups. So the 10 of Cups is a lot of And it's a lot of success and a lot of happiness, but it's also a lot of partying, a lot of excess in some ways, especially appropriate for this right now, and I'll get back to why. Three of Swords, heartache, and being hurt by unexpectedly, or often by things that involve love or things that you didn't expect to be painful. Five of Wands, so a lot of confusion, sticks going at each other in different ways. In the typical card of the Five of Wands, no one's actually getting hurt. In fact, you could almost look at it as choreography for Tai Chi if you really want to, and there are many different variations of it presented. But coming from this, for these energies right now approaching the new moon, we're coming from a place where there's a lot of confusion, and there's a lot of confusion globally, nationally, personally. Lives are really stressful overall right now, and I think there's a lot of tension, and the astrology speaks to that as well. So having this card in there as a sword, we have cups, we're coming from wands, we've got Hanged Man and perspective. I love how she's got her underwear hanging out there, and he's trying to look up it. This is just really fun stuff for right now. But we have a 12 and a 10, and that's 22, 23, 24, 25. 5 and 2 is 7. 7 is one of the very important numbers right now. And 5 is what we're coming from behind. When I do a backstory reading, I like to find the major, the first major, and underneath, that's the box it comes in. Underneath in this backstory, so we have the 5 of Wands, but when we look back in the backstory, we're coming from the world. So a completion of a journey, and a whole lot of stuff that got confusing. The Fool goes through the journey lots of times. In a lifetime, we are all the Fool going through a journey a lot of times. So we've now in the middle of something, halfway through a 5, in that general range. And we're at a place where we need perspective. We're dealing with a lot, and a lot that especially has to do with addiction or over excess. I'm going to move these over to the side. I'll bring them back at the end. I won't promise I won't lose them. But I'm going to put out my handy dandy visual aid here for some astrology. See if you can get it to where you can see it. There's some things that I want to particularly draw attention to. I know it looks like a lot. You can take a screenshot. What I want to tell you about this, the reason why there's so many colors here, there's several things going on. The new moon is over here, right there. And they are at number 11. Now, number 11 is a very important number. Number 11, the actual number itself in numerology and in any other type of study of divination or spirituality, 11 is very important. 11 is always extraordinary. It is poised right between 10 and 12. 11 is a number that can't be divided by anything else, and yet it has the 1 twice. It's supposed to be allied with God and the world. It is, if you were born on an 11, you're born to be a helper, evangelists, missionaries, things like that. There are actually 11 apostles, not 12. They don't count Judas, at least that I have heard. And 11, the two together, when seen together, are numbers of angel numbers. So if you see 11 and 11 on a clock or a timestamp, it's a significant notification of divine guidance and power, and it's about manifestation and making a wish. It's said to settle the realization of being guided by a higher power and being connected to the universe on a higher, more spiritual level. So 11 here is in opposition, of course, to the 11 of the earth. The sun is always directly opposite the Earth. And the reason that I bring that up is Earth is the planet of manifestation, and where Earth sits, manifestation can happen. Manifestation in this case is in the 12th house, which is a very powerful place of subconscious, and sitting next to, in an orb with 5-degree orb with Saturn. And Saturn rules the house that Pluto just moved into. I know that's a lot, and I'll go back to it. Right now, I want to say that this is the new moon, where you can make wishes. And I'm going to give you ideas for wishes. Bear in mind and remember that this enhances that because of where it is and because of where the house it's in and who it's with. And again, I'm using natural houses, so everybody is in the same boat here. Everybody has a first house in Aries and a 12th house in Pisces. And this new moon is happening in the 6th house, which is important because the 6th house is self-care. It's also self-sabotage. It used to be about service, who you served, who you allow to have mastery over you, what you put yourself into bondage to. So this is a very important place for this to be happening in Virgo, in the 6th house, just under your horizon line, so you can't quite see it. It's just underneath here. And this is, of course, just above. The reason it's important is this is trine over here to these 7s. And these 7s, this is Phallus and this is Ceres. And Ceres is about parenthood and a nurturing harvest, like after work, harvest after work. You have worked for a harvest. Ceres is actually the first asteroid that was discovered. It actually has an ocean. So Ceres is a very nurturing asteroid, considered one of the great nurturers. It has been retrograde, sitting with Phallus. Phallus in mythology has a very large connection to addiction, to abuse of habits or substances, which is why I said the 7 was important and the 10 of Cups was important. Because what we have is a new moon manifestation opportunity of 7s and 11s. When you throw dice and you throw a 7 and 11, right, or 7 or 11 right off the bat, you win. If somebody else throws a number and you throw a 7 or 11 after, you win. 7, it's a good number to bet on, the 7-11 combination. The fact that we have been in retrograde with both of these looking at this, and now are in a place where we can make wishes, is very important. Especially with the annotation here of excesses or habits or things you might want to move on from or make different choices of, when all of the time frame that we have had with all these retrogrades for looking back has been happening for some time. This point here that is also in blue, that's your part. That is the part of fortune for everyone. I'm not even sure that it really matters in this point. I just found it interesting that it was in a 3-degree orb or a 7-degree orb, another 7, in the 2nd house of what is valued. I found that interesting, something to take note of. Ceres just went exact, like yesterday. So they have been partners for some time now, where she has been supporting exploration of this in the 10th house. And the 10th house is work, identity, career, who you are, what makes you, from your 4th house to your 10th house, what makes your identity express itself once you get out of your home. It's around 21, you know more about who you are. And the 10th house, it's social status. It's a friendly companionship or relations. And so this is one place where relations come into play in a lifetime. This is higher study, but this is one of the places in work where you have relations or partnerships. Over in the 7th house is the committed relationships. And so we'll move over to here. This is in Libra. So, but look at this pack. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There are very few times that I see something that are that orderly. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We got the, oh, geez, let's see. Hierophant. Lovers, Chariot, Strength, and Hermit. I think, no, that's 11. 9. What's 9? My mind is going blank. 9. You will look at a book because blank is not a good way to go. I'm going to go, I knew this because I do. But, the mind and the way it works don't stay. It is the Hermit. It is the Hermit. I was right. Okay, fine. And that's appropriate. Yeah, okay, yeah. That's appropriate because you're the aloneness of it. So what is at 9 is Maki Maki. And Maki Maki is, of them all, the only one that's not, it's not. So we'll start with Venus. Venus is at 5, and the node, the south node, is at 6. Juno is at 7. Lilith is at 7, Juno is at 8, and Maki Maki is at 9. Maki Maki which I wrote a special note on. Good thing I wrote a note on it. Maki Maki. Oh, it has to do with environmentalism, and it has to do with taking care of nature and the natural process, right action, right relationship, and an internal moral compass. And it can be actually activism, and that's very important right now in Libra, in the 7th house of committed relationships, because if you think about our nation as one of your relations, you can see that Maki Maki being here at a 9 is very important. Juno is the divine feminine. Juno is bringing in boundaries with another person, how much sharing is appropriate, where holding back or giving intensely and openly. Juno can deal with bitterness and jealousy or projected authority and control, but its intimacy needs in general on a higher level than Venus, which is more sexuality. This is divine connection, divine feminine. Lilith is the dark, deep repressed femininity that has not been allowed to be expressed. And these together surrounding the south node interest me greatly in the Libra 7th house placement for everyone in natural house order, sitting with this Maki Maki call to action, advancing important social issues. Over here we have Aquarius, and Pluto has been sitting at 0 in Aquarius. And this is humanitarianism. It's where Pluto is going to sit for 20 years. This is the moving forward. But yesterday, on the 1st, Pluto moved backward into Capricorn. It'll stay there until the later part of November. It's an interesting timing for that to stay there to the later part of November. It feels kind of painful to have this stuff happening right now. There's a lot going on that feels like, no, we're just getting somewhere. No, but this really hurts. And there are a lot of things that really can be painful to be looked at right now. And a lot of this RX stuff is part of that. Where we're lucky is that we're getting perspective by looking at these things. So this Pluto is now in a square within the 1st house with Chiron and Eris. Chiron is the wounded healer, where you have to be hurt, feel pain in order to be able to teach others how not to create pain or how to deal with the pain they're feeling. This is a very interesting thing to have in a conversation right now with this much power coming from a place of Capricorn and 10th house, work, identity, career. Capricorn is the traditional way of doing things, the standard how do I say this? Capricorn is the place where you do it the right way. You do it with proper order. It's taking care of the necessary things in the way they should be taken care of, the way they always were taken care of, the way tradition says they would. It's kind of like the Hierophant in a way. But now, and that's at literally 59 minutes, so it just got there. And it wasn't in communication with these guys at all, because it was in a zero and they're up in a high numbers. Now it has stepped across that line and it is in a square, so a tense conversation. It's not an easy conversation. It's adding a lot of power here. And Eris is she's like the soul warrior. She's who helps you figure out where you're going in life. It's when you make a powerful stand for what you believe, even if sometimes you have to fight for it. It's a soul path. Eris offers tremendous insight into where breakthroughs can happen on an individual, national, and planetary level. And it is sitting with Chiron. And now it's in a tense conversation with Pluto, which is actually helpful because it leads its conversation. And Pluto is in a sextile conversation with Neptune. Neptune is at the 29th degree looking back into Pisces, which it rules. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. Saturn is sitting in Pisces. Neptune is looking at Saturn. Saturn is looking at this new moon. There's a lot of conversation that offers opportunities for things to be addressed right now. Neptune is a higher octave of love, but it is also the great dissolver. It can change things by dissolving away that which stops things from changing. And it can make things confusing too. So the fact that it is here and it is sextile power is helpful. These right here, I've noted in Aquarius out of 14 because that's 2 sevens. It's another. It is 36. It's square to this, doesn't really matter. As I say, this may not be a player anyway. What it does matter about is it is trining this energy here in Libra. All these ladies in the South Node are added. One more lady over there with 2 sevens of 14. That's Chariklo. And Chariklo is also looking back, looking to see what needs to be addressed, what can be changed in the past. Chariklo is the divine intercessor. You can literally ask for divine aid and say, I would like to remember that differently. And that is what Chariklo is good at. I would like to have made a different decision, and I would like to feel like I made a different decision looking backward. Chariklo is excellent at that. All of these things here, Lilith's issues with dark repression and rejection, Juno's boundaries, Venus's perhaps off balance, sitting in this, getting ready to go retrograde, and sitting in a trine with an orb of trine with Pluto, because even though she hasn't gone retrograde yet, Pluto is so massive that it connects and causes power, but it's not necessarily a comfortable power. It's sort of like the traditional way of doing things to Venus. And these two are talking to over here in Taurus to Uranus, and Uranus is the surprise wild card player. He can make change happen immediately. So another transformation, transcendence. And what that comes down to is you must ask in this Virgo moment here in the 6th house of self-change and self-care and self-sabotage, in this house, in the sign of service and order. There's so much about Virgo that is, it is not just about service. It is about taking care, intention, prevention, perfection, overthinking, health. Virgo has a lot of areas, and you need to look at them and make a list. And I'm probably going to title this video, Write It Down, because this Virgo thing here, for transformation to occur this time, you can't just say them, Virgo, Capricorn. These things need to be done in the right way. Saturn next to manifestation, the I's need to be dotted and the T's need to be crossed, and you need to hold on to them. So make a list, write it down, write your intentions down, say them out loud, but hold on to the list. Today, this is the time. Tonight, the energy window will stay open for a while, but this is the time tonight to do that. I'm going to give you some manifestation list ideas. So I will push this up so you can see the 4 ideas that I have here. All it says above that is, because the new moon is happening in an earth sign, it's detail-oriented, it's Virgo, it's important to write these down and keep them. Do not use negatives. Always use the word easily. Avoid the word want. State your intentions clearly. So here's 4 that cover a lot of the areas that are Virgo. Overall health, work, tasks and routines, discernment and intention, perfection and processing. I will say them so that you can hear them in case you can't take a screenshot right now. Overall health. I easily add into my life foods, fluids, patterns, habits, and healers that enable and sustain whole and complete health and vitality in body and mind. Notice that I don't say, I don't want this and I want to stop that. The universe does not hear these things. We are talking about the change you want to bring toward you. Work tasks and routines. I easily find the right, fulfilling path for effectively using my time in ways that sustain me financially, productively, creatively, and spiritually alone and co-creating with others. Discernment, intention. I easily respond to every crisis with an appreciation for opportunities to convert chaos to order using relaxed focus, present time detail orientation, practical helpfulness, and a certain knowledge that I am not alone. Other ideas are welcome and all will be well at the right time. Perfection and processing. I easily focus on what is right in my life and accurately see how all of my pieces fit in beautifully healing and positive ways as I move forward in a state of perfectly being me, interacting fully in non-judgmental co-creation with all I choose to experience and connect to. Those statements and anything like them, as long as they're positive and they don't contain any sapping, draining words, need to be said. Tonight, the window stays open for a few days. I would like to have gotten this up last night, but we have had our own clearing and our own discoveries of things that needed to be released. We found water under the house that had to be worked on, and it was a major project. And those kinds of things are 3-dimensional representations of the same kinds of things that are happening subconsciously and within relationships that you're not aware of. We were not aware of that problem, and it was fortuitously brought to our attention. Committed relationships, you may not be aware that something is there, but if you go looking, make a list and check, you may find something. Relationships at work or in other types of connections with a purpose, relationships of friendship, or you can ask for divine intercession, relationships in the past, relationships within and among yourself and your own purpose. All of these things can be dissolved. The processes that are stopping them from moving forward can be dissolved. Betrayal can be released. Saturn is the great taskmaster, but it's Saturn that cuts away that which is not whole and brings that which adds integrity. Nessus has been sitting near Saturn. is a deep level of betrayal and death by poison. It all kind of ties together in interesting ways for me. Last thing I'll say is Earth is grounded energy, and Earth is a manifestation planet. Modes, which you'll see over here and may not know what they are. There's 4 elements: fire, earth, air, water. Very strong in Earth right now, a 7. And these guys, the modes are how we react. We've been in fixed energy. Fixed energy is, it's very hard to change anything. I don't like change. I'm afraid of change. But right now we're very strong in the ability to start new patterns and be flexible as things change. A 6 and an 8. The 11s that we have here in the tarot, 11s used to be switched with 8s. 8 is strength, 11 is justice. And the 7 and 8 used to be in reverse position. Justice used to come after the Chariot. It was changed by Crowley when he made the deck, the regular deck in 1910. The Waite-Smith Tarot, when he created that, he was working on the Golden Dawn and trying to tie things to the zodiac signs and that particular spiritual belief system, and that's how they got changed. But I always remember that in some decks, 11s are 8s. 8 is the symbol of eternity, and that energy comes to bear also. So when I see an 8 in here, that also serves to flexible, to remind me that every 11 is also an 8th. Strength and justice are working together. Look back, find the problem, set your intentions, and write them down and say them so that you can get new perspective on things that have been bothering you and things that maybe you are overindulging in or out of control on. I have an app on my phone I need to get rid of. It's taking too much of my time. It's taking too much of my world, and it's adding more confusion energy than anything else in my life. Let's see. We have, yes, okay. I think that's pretty much all I have to say on this. Upcoming on September 17th, it'll be the full moon in Pisces and the first eclipse in the Virgo Pisces axis. I will be back with a video about that interesting release opportunity. I may be back before that with something else. Remember, I am a student of many things. I read and interpret intuitively and uniquely. I always hope I can bring some part of the light to those drawn to my candle. So if you are here and something resonates with you, whenever you see it, know that it is for you. With my blessings, you are welcome to say hello in a comment. Tell me what you see, or leave a like. I'm going to light my sage again. Oh, I drew a rune. Very quickly, I drew a rune. The reason that rune is important, we'll flip this over and show you the back of the card. That rune that I drew is, I'm just getting back into that actually. Today is the first time that I did that. That is Kano, and it's reversed. And it says, and I really like this, so I'm glad I remembered to share it with you. Expect a darkening of the light in some situation or relationship. A friendship may be dying, a partnership, a marriage, some aspect of yourself that is no longer appropriate to the person you are now. Receiving this rune puts you on notice that failure to face up to the death consciously would constitute a loss of opportunity. It's one of the cycle runes. Reversed, it points to the death of a way of life invalidated by growth. So you have grown, and what you are leaving behind is no longer valid. Reversed, it calls for giving up gladly the old and being prepared to live for a time empty. It calls for developing inner stability, not being seduced by the momentum of old ways while waiting for the new to become illuminated in its proper time. I think that that is very apt for the new moon, and then looking ahead in 2 weeks to the full moon, which will be a proper illumination. And with that, we are done. We're going to thank All Mother, Grandfather Spirit, bright beings of all kinds. Thank you for joining us. We release you to go if you wish, and are grateful that you were here. Mother, Father God, universal power, remind us daily of the sanctity of all life. Touch our hearts with the glorious oneness of all creation as we strive to respect all the living beings on this planet. Penetrate our souls with the beauty of this earth as we attune ourselves to the rhythm and flow of the seasons. Awaken our minds with the knowledge to achieve a world in perfect harmony, and grant us the wisdom to realize that we can have heaven on earth. That's by Joe Poor. Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us today. Go in peace. Blessed be. And if you needed a miracle, I'm leaving one here for you.